everybody. I wanted to welcome Ann Everhart. She is an independent financial planner and CFP candidate. She has an all-female team, which is super, super cool. And she's been through a divorce, so she loves to help divorcing women through this process post-decree so that she can really help them dig in and learn, I guess, a little bit more about investing and how to invest, I guess, in a smart way. I think a lot of women are a little bit kind of lost when it comes to this. And so, when they're going through divorce and after divorce, they kind of don't know what to do with the assets that they might have been awarded during the divorce. So anyway, Anne, I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of introduce yourself a little bit here.
Awesome. Thanks, Karla. So yeah, I'm an independent financial advisor, and I take a more of a unique approach to financial planning where I incorporate mindset work, mindfulness, and even the principles of yoga into financial planning. So for me, the big why behind what I do and why I feel it's important to be financially well is so that we have choice in our lives. And two tools really in my view to get to the point of choice and freedom is mindfulness and financial well-being. So I kind of blend those two to really help empower women to become independent.
I love that. That's so, so important, especially after going through that stage. I mean, we've both been through a divorce, so we know what it's like to be like in that headspace and trying to figure out like what's the light at the end of the tunnel and how are we going to get through this. And it's kind of all of those things and balancing them. So yeah, that's awesome. I love that you kind of take all of those different approaches, and it's not just, I think a lot of times when people think of like when they're thinking about their finances, it's like, it's cold, it's finances, it's scary, right? All of those things. So that's nice that you kind of incorporate all of that into it. I love that.
Yeah, I like to take more of a feminine approach to typically a masculine topic.
Nice.
And make it a little bit more nurturing and approachable for women. Yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, I have a list of questions here that I'm gonna ask you. So I know like each divorce is really unique, and everybody goes along their own journey. If you could change anything or give like a heads up to somebody that's getting ready to go through this process, what would that be?
I would say get a financial plan right away. Typically, and I know in my own divorce, even though I'm an advisor, after we settled on everything, I did feel this feeling of the scarcity mindset. I noticed that I was in sort of like a I didn't really have a strategy. And so I had to put a plan. I did my own financial plan with the help of my one of my business partners here. But if I had done that right away, I wouldn't have, I ended up spending quite a bit of money on establishing my new life. And I think that's important. We might need to furnish a new home. We might need to, invest in ourselves in a lot of different ways. But I think getting a plan right away would help to allow for just intentional spending, intentional saving without letting that get away from you. And then, you can always tell your advisor that I'm not ready to make any moves. Like, I don't want to move this into an investment yet. I don't want to lock this money up. So I need 6 months to kind of like roll around in it if it's new assets that came in, or just kind of like sit and decide what's your next move. And that's okay. Just because you get a plan in place doesn't mean you have to be ready to really do anything. It's just having kind of a roadmap for when you are.
That's a really good point. I think people are afraid to talk to me, to talk to you, because they think that means that they're committing to doing something right away in that day, right? And
yeah, totally.
So, I mean, good to know about that side of it too, because I always tell people, look, I just want to help you come up with a roadmap here for what you're going to do with your home ownership. So maybe that's not for another year.
Right.
But at least and now you can sleep at night for the next year, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So I can only imagine, so the benefit of someone that's going through divorce, like they have to have this strong divorce team, right? And so where is it that you think that you fit in to that team? I mean, I guess you already talked about that a little bit. But what would the questions be, I guess, for somebody that's interviewing someone like yourself to be part of their divorce team? Like, what are maybe some of the questions that they should ask
Okay.
so that they're
Yeah.
the right fit?
Yep. So I would suggest working with somebody who's independent. And so that doesn't mean they work by themselves. And that doesn't mean that they're the person managing your assets. It just means that maybe they're with an independent firm that's not tied to proprietary products. So where
Okay.
they're not limited to what they can offer. So as an independent advisor, they can really see what your goals are, what your risk tolerance is in your time horizon, and really have access to recommend just about anything that they can bring to the table for you. And then they're not incentivized, by one thing over another.
Mhm.
And making sure that, maybe they're a fee-based planner. I think sometimes it could be a little bit of a, not always, but it could be a red flag if the financial plan is free, because then that could just be used as sort of a sales tool to see what their assets are and then ultimately hope to get those assets under their management. So paying for a financial plan typically should mean that that is independent of any movement that you might be recommended to make. The plan should also incorporate the whole comprehensive picture. So ask, the advisor sort of what they look at when they do a plan. Will they look at my employee benefits to make sure that I'm, taking advantage of what I can or not duplicating efforts? Will they look at my insurance, products and make sure that I'm not, overspending or there's other opportunities where I could do better? And so you want somebody that can really identify gaps in your full picture. Really anything that money touches in your world could really be looked at by an advisor, and just making sure they're not only focused on investments, but really looking at your full picture.
Yeah. Do you, this is totally off script, so we'll see where this goes. So are you seeing, just in our current economy where we are dealing with a lot of inflation, and I know for me, it's really affecting my divorcing clients
Yeah.
because they just can't afford, right? So
Yeah.
are you finding that a lot of women are in a position where maybe all they can do right now is afford to pay their bills, and so maybe this financial plan is something in the future that they can plan for, I guess? I mean, because we all need to plan for that. We need to be able to plan for retirement,
Yeah.
what we're doing there. But are you finding that a lot of people right now are maybe just
Getting by.
by?
Yes. And people that do have investments, the market's been down. It's just been really difficult to, you know, encourage people to wait it out. But when you're in it and things are feeling really tight because inflation is so high, interest rates are so high, so you might not be able to afford to buy a house right now, and you might have to be
Right.
spending more on rent, those kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, it's really important, I think. I mean, for us, right now our fees will go up, but right now it's $1,000 for a financial plan.
Oh,
And people,
nice.
yeah, and so it's a pretty approachable number. And you can also pay $100 a month for 12 months if that makes it easy.
Okay.
And so sometimes, without coming off the wrong way, but can you afford not to do a financial plan? Because it
Right.
can really help save you all this, maybe unnecessary spending, missing opportunities for investing, all of these things. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, when things are hard right now, like they are right now in the economy and the inflationary environment, my clients, once they're a financial planning client, I'm essentially on call for them during business hours, but they can,
Yeah.
come in and set a meeting, and there's no extra cost for that. And we can talk about what is their current situation and how can we best respond to this. So when you do a financial plan, you just always know that there's got to be room for different changes in your own life, from the economy,
Mhm.
inflation. And so how do we best move forward given the situation that we're in right now?
So would you say, this came up last night in conversation, would you say that you are good at maybe helping people budget after divorce? Like
Yes.
that word
Well,
budget, I hate that word budget, by the way. I've never budgeted in my life.
well, I do too,
But
honestly.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's not so much, I don't create budgets, but I do look at cash flow. And so this
Uh-huh.
is just a practice of consciousness, really. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of times in a marriage, one person was the saver, one person was the spender, and there's
Yeah.
conflict with that.
I'm the
Now, what's that?
I said I'm the spender.
You're the spender, yeah. So, and I am too, honestly. But after that divorce, then now you have the power to say, okay, all of this is mine. I get to spend what I want. I get to save what
Mhm.
I want. And so now it's looking at, we do a cash flow worksheet. And so it's really getting clear on what your monthly expenses are. It's not setting a budget that you have to stay within, but it's
Uh-huh.
what has been your expenses. And then just with that awareness, you can, if things are tight, you can cut out what's quote unquote nice to have for a
Yeah.
while. You know, so we
Yeah.
can identify, I like to look at 3 different categories. What is absolutely imperative, you know, your rent, your mortgage, your bills, gas, whatever, groceries. What's important to you? So maybe it's social things are important to you, but they're not survival, you know? And then what's nice to have, like Starbucks, mani-pedis, things that when you do feel that things are really tight, okay, that was the nice to have category. I'm just not going to do that for a couple
Yeah.
of months. And that's it. So it's just making those decisions rather than, am I in my budget, you know? Because
Yeah.
I don't like that either. And then I also feel that it's important to get clear on what it is that is meaningful to you and what you love, and spend freely on those things and be frugal on the things you don't care about.
Mm.
Sometimes it can be that simple, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, that doesn't mean much to me. I'm not going to spend the money on it. But on the things that you really love, you know, give yourself permission to spend on it, you know, kind of within limits. And that's what I kind of help people with too, is I want people to enjoy their lives today and then also just be aware of kind of what's
Yeah.
going on.
That's a good way to think about it. I love massage. Like I will do anything for a massage.
Yeah.
But like now that I think about it, I mean, we eat out probably too often. But I'm a good cook and so is my husband. So we're not like, we're rarely impressed,
Yeah.
especially the price of what you pay when you eat out right now. So I would opt for a massage any day over eating out. You
Exactly. And that's, yeah, that's important to you and something you love. And so that's an easy
know?
category that if you were my client, I wouldn't say, you know, stop the massages
Right.
because that's, yeah, that's your quality of life and it's
Oh,
important to you. It's a conscious choice. Yeah.
love that. I love that. All right. So I know you can't talk about anybody specifically or anything, you know, specifics, but do you have maybe a client that you wouldn't name that is just really memorable that you helped post decree?
I do. This is
Awesome.
so actually recently, I was working with a woman who was in, while she was married, she and her husband would come in. And she was sort of checked out in the financial planning process. She
Mm.
really didn't care that much about what we were talking about. I would try to engage her in the conversation, but her husband at the time would, you know, was driving it. That was obvious. And she, even though I would attempt to kind of bring her in the conversation, she really would say, like, I don't really care. You know, he's the one that does all this stuff. And so they ended up getting a divorce, and now I work with her on her own. And
Mhm.
it has been incredible because now she, I, what she has kind of um, admitted to me was that she felt like she didn't want to reveal how much she didn't know in front of her husband. So she didn't want to ask certain questions. She didn't want to answer my questions because she felt like she wasn't confident in, her knowledge in finance, which makes sense, right? We don't learn this stuff in school. And so, especially if you're with someone that kind of drives that car, that when it comes to finances, more time goes on, and then you kind of are like, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to sit here quietly. Now she feels really safe and comfortable to ask all these questions, and it's not as complicated as she thought. And so
Yeah.
she's like the best client. I mean, she's very responsive. She's
Mhm.
connected. We have a financial planning tool where you can connect all of your accounts to it. And so you have one place to log in, and then I can see what's going
Love
on as
that.
well. Yeah, and she got everything connected and uploaded and everything, like, and she's maxing out her retirement accounts. She's
Uh-huh.
excited about learning what because she was also the saver, he was the
Mhm.
spender. And so she just, always wanted
Yeah.
to save her money, but now she's making, she's able to put as much as she wants away.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, she's now like feeling very excited about this next chapter because she feels really empowered and independent. And it's a whole new experience for her.
That's super cool. Hopefully
Yeah.
she does a really awesome testimony for you or something like that.
Yeah, totally. I should ask her.
Awesome.
um, yeah. And then also, I'll just add myself to that, like I had mentioned before, after my divorce, I mean, my mindset was really in scarcity. I just was, I was questioning my decision. I was like going through a lot of self-doubt, and just realized that I think through the mindfulness work, and as I was having conversations with my client about kind of pointing out some fear-based thinking, I was
Yeah.
like, this is where I am. I need to shift my mindset, and just catching your thoughts, and
Mm.
learning how to have that belief that's in alignment with where you want to go, really believing you're on your way there,
Yeah.
things really started changing for me. And so now, I do have my financial plan in place, but I'm always able to check my mindset, and I'm a lot happier now because my thoughts are different, So
Yeah.
that was a
That's
big one
awesome.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, in what I do too, like what we both do, it's not a comfort zone for women at all, you know?
No.
So,
Right.
I know I always go back to when I bought my first home. I was her, how you explained, your client there with her husband had no clue what was going on, didn't want to ask any questions, just
Yep.
didn't feel comfortable. I mean, I didn't even know how to fill out the mortgage application, which is blows my mind, like
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just
Wow.
so
Yep.
okay. So, I guess for someone to find you and want to work with you,
Yep.
where can they find you? Where are you at? I know you're physically located in Fort Collins,
Yep.
but I don't think you're limited to just the Fort Collins area. So where can people find you if they want to hunt you down and work with you?
Yeah, and I can work anywhere in the US.
Awesome.
And I do a free 30-minute consultation, and I will learn about what you need, and then I show how I work with my clients, and I'll let you know if I could help or not.
Love that.
But you can find me. My website is Ann dash sopriswealth.com. So
Okay.
it's SOPRIS wealth.com. And on that website, you can learn about me and my practice and all that stuff, but then you can also book a consultation through there.
Thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to close with here? Any last comments?
I do want to say, and this is something, I just recorded a meditation on this for clients, but it's really important for me, and for, I think, just anyone in the world, is to learn how to trust your body, and really tuning into what's a yes and what's a no. And so when you are interviewing an advisor, or when you are getting a recommendation of what to do, trusting yourself. And so I think that that's something I'd want to leave with is just tuning into understanding how to listen to, what is your body doing when you're in a yes response,
Yeah.
and when you're in a no. And so thinking about something that you love, somebody that you love, or a place, and how does your body feel when you think about that? And
Yeah.
then what has been a no for you that you now know is a no? And how does your body feel when you think about that? And then getting clear on those two separate physical feelings, and then learning to bring that in when you're faced with a decision. And so that's something I'm really passionate about, when it comes to mindfulness and yoga. It's really about tuning into our bodies.
Mhm.
Because that's where the wisdom is. And it's really now, especially as an independent woman moving forward, that's like your biggest, gift, is just being able to tune into that.
That's so cool. That's cool. I was thinking myself through some things when you were saying that. So
Awesome.
thank you. I'll
You're
be
welcome.
well, thank you so much, Ann. Have a really, really great weekend. Thank you for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your knowledge.
Thanks, Carla. I really appreciate the opportunity.